So all we want to do here is just take our scissors and take about an inch or so off the top of these. So just give them. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Friday, October 4th here in South Georgia, and on today's video we're going to give some onion updates on several different types of onions. So we'll start here in the greenhouse, give you an update on our onion seedlings and tell you what we've been doing with those. Then we'll move to the outside garden and work on our perennial onions a little bit. So let's start out here in the greenhouse, where we have some onion seedlings going in several different types of trays or containers. And our goal here was to show people that anyone can grow their own onion plants, whether you're just growing a few or you need to grow a lot. So if I get in a little closer here, we can see these cheap pots I got from the dollar store. We got some nice looking onion seedlings in those. These little 2.5 inch pots are looking great in there as well. Then we have our more traditional cell tray here. Got really good germination in that tray. And then our bottom tray is looking nice too. So we've already started feeding these pretty much every time we water with a low dose of that AgriThrive fruit and flower. And I've been using this little nifty rig right here that I got a while back, and it's working really well. If you'd like to see a video on that particular injector setup and how to use it, let me know in the comments below. But anyways, at this stage our onion seedlings are about 4.5 inches tall. Now if you've never grown your own onion plants before, you may be a little bit mystified by this seed capsule on top here. That will eventually dry and fall off, or you can kind of brush your hands over the top of those seedlings and knock them off. Nothing to worry about though. With onions, they just take a while to eventually eject that seed capsule. Now when they get to this stage or this height, that's when I like to start giving them a little haircut. Not a big haircut, just a little haircut. Really helps kind of toughen up those seedlings, gives you a little tougher onion transplant that you'll eventually put in the ground. So all we want to do here is just take our scissors and take about an inch or so off the top of these. So just give them a nice little even haircut over the entire container. We'll make sure we get them all there, and these will grow right back. When they grow back, these leaves here, these onion leaves, will thicken up a little bit, give you a nice tough transplant. So I went ahead there and gave all those a nice little haircut, and this is not something you want to do on the day of transplanting. You want to do this a week or two in advance, and we'll probably end up trimming these 2 or 3 times before we're ready to put them in the ground, say early to mid-November. So give those onion seedlings an occasional haircut. Make sure you feed them well, and it won't take long before you'll have some really nice onion plants to put in the ground. Now let's walk over here and check on our Louisiana Evergreen shallots. And just as a side note, this spot right here is where those onions that we just trimmed are going to be going come November. I had a bit of a morning glory and pigweed explosion here after all that rain we got with Helene, but I'm working on getting it cleaned up. Still a few weeds out there to get, but it looks a lot better than it did. So here's our 3 rows of Louisiana Evergreen shallots. Now we didn't plant all these at the same time. We planted this row here back in the middle of summer, seemed like around July, middle of July maybe, and then these 2 rows right here a few weeks after that. And you can kind of tell these have a lot more leaves on them. These have also multiplied quite a bit more. These here are just starting to multiply. We can see that 1 has turned into 2 there. Now unlike those bulbing onions that we have going in the greenhouse right now, where we want to cut off fertilizing them once they start bulbing in, say, late winter or early spring, with these perennial onions or these Louisiana Evergreen shallots, we can just feed the snot out of them all the way to the end. So that first row that we planted, I've already given that row a dose of the Nature Safe 1300, just some straight nitrogen, and then those other 2 rows are probably going to get some here in the next few days. So we're just going to hammer the nitrogen to them since I've got some on hand, and see just how much multiplication we can get. Now you'll notice with this first double row we planted, we've got a pretty nice little foliage canopy developing, and that's what we want. That's what we're going for with this double row technique here, so we don't have to really worry about weeds in the center there once we get all that soil shaded by onion leaves. But early on, before we get that complete foliage canopy developed, like in these 2 rows right here, very important to keep the weeds under control. So I've been coming out here just every 2 or 3 days and plucking some weeds by hand. I want to get those weeds under control before we get that foliage canopy developed, and then it should shade out anything else that tries to grow. And you'll also notice that there are a few gaps along these rows here. Could be that one of the bulbs I planting just never came up, or it could be that I killed some baby plants while I was going through here weeding. But that's not a huge deal because we can easily fill in those gaps. So what I can do if I want to fill in this gap right here is pull up one of these more established bunches. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4 plants right here, and I just kind of tease those apart, trying to leave some roots on each one. I'll put one back down in this original hole right here, and then just make me 3 more holes. Stick that one in there. Put that one down right there, and then we'll plant the other one right there. And now we filled in our row. These right here, won't take them long to start growing again, and they'll start dividing just like all the other ones have. Now, one thing I don't know that I'm curious about is whether you get more shallots in the long run when we harvest them in the summer if you continuously divide out those plants, continuously split them up and replant them, or if you just leave that original bunch there to continue to multiply. So what I think I may do with that first double row that we planted back in July, I may take half that row and divide all those out and replant some of them somewhere else, to just thin them out to a single plant there, and then the other half of the row just leave like it is, and then we can see how many shallots we ended up with come summer and determine, is it worth taking the time to keep splitting them up, or should we just leave them in one big bunch there? And speaking of dividing and moving onions, I need to move these white Welsh perennial onions while we're out here so I can fill this bed full of lettuce in a couple weeks. So this white Welsh variety significantly outperformed all the other 9 or so different perennial onion varieties that we trialed in this bed last year. Now, some of that's my fault because I had some parsnips growing down the middle there, and they got huge and kind of engulfed some of these smaller varieties. So I may try some of those again if I can get some more plants. But pretty impressed with this white Welsh. We want to split that up, give them a little more room to do their thing. So let's see if we can rip these out of here without doing a ton of damage to the plants themselves. If I can pull these up, they may come up in one big clump, they may come up in several little clumps. Got that drip tape in the way a little bit there. There's one pretty decent sized clump right there. We can get the rest of these out of here. Yeah. Some big old roots on those things there. There we go. That'll work. Alright. Got quite a few to work with there. And I think I've got the perfect spot to put those. So we're going to split those up and plant them in this long skinny bed right here where we had our sweet taters. Added a couple drip lines there because we're going to need that with these onions. Probably plant 2 rows there. We'll see how many plants we have. So let me show you how we do this here. So we're going to take these and gently tease them apart. Like I said earlier, we're going to leave some roots on each plant there. We could plant this just like it is, but since these tops are so long, I think I'm going to trim them off just a little bit. So just take my knife, cut those tops off a little bit like that. And got one planted there. Probably going to plant them about, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches apart or so. This is some nice soft soil, so we'll dig a deep hole, stick that one in there, and we'll just keep working along till we fill this entire bed. May have enough for 3 rows right there. We'll put a row down the center if we got enough plants. Essie, let's go. Water, yeah, that's where water comes out. That's right. Chicks, yep, we got chicks over there. What else? You don't know? Yeah, they're chicks, yeah. They're over there. Pig, you taking a picture? Cheese. Say bye-bye, blow a kiss.
Bye-bye.
So we had a slight little change in plans here. Once I split all those plants up, I realized I did have enough to go down the center row of that bed, but I had more than enough. So instead, what I did was just plant this other long skinny bed. I had 2 drip lines out here, plug those in, and so now we have these growing in 2 of these beds, and hopefully they grow as well this year as they grew last year. So I'll keep you updated on how well those white Welsh plants do after moving them. And so far it looks like a winner, which I'm really excited about because I'm a sucker for a good perennial onion variety. And I'm interested in that one because it's so different than those Louisiana Evergreen shallots. Doesn't really produce a shallot bulb at the base of the plants like the Louisiana Evergreen shallots do, but the plants get much larger. You got a lot more green top to work with there, a lot more that you can harvest, and the base of the onion plant itself is a lot bigger. So a lot more to eat on those white Welsh plants, although you don't get the little bulbs at the bottom. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and let me know in the comments below how your onion seedlings, shallots, any kind of onions you're growing, how they're doing. And if you missed that video where we showed how to start onions from seed, you can catch that right here. We'll show you how we got to that point we are now with those bulbing onion seedlings. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.